Hello, my name is Martina Flor. I'm a lettering artist, author, and educator. Do you know what my most powerful tool to create my work is? Not my hands, not my brain, but my eyes. I've been training my observation skills since day one, and that had a major impact on my skills and success as a commercial lettering artist. Not only that, it has helped me find inspiration everywhere around me and staying away from endless scrolling down Google, Pinterest, and Instagram. Have you ever been in the situation of looking at your drawing, knowing that something is off or that it's not quite ready yet, but not knowing how to fix it? Fear not. This training called Letter Hunters will help you develop what I call your typographic eye by just using inspiration from your surroundings. If you want to improve your work, you need to start by sharpening your observation skills. Join me and become the best letter hunter in town. See you inside.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Open Studio. I'm your host, Martina Flor, and in this show, I have honest conversations with artists, designers, and creatives to uncover their paths and discover the specific tactics they use to overcome challenges and succeed on their own terms. Today, I'll be having a conversation with Pieter Ceizer. Pieter is a Dutch typographer and multimedia artist currently living and working in Paris. Ceizer's work is a variable universe of bright colors, dancing shapes, poetry, and empowerment. Ceizer's worked in collaboration with several brands like Coca Cola, Ralph Lauren, Uniqlo, Nike, Heineken, Adobe, and Colette. With over 17 years in business, Pieter also runs his art and clothing brand, and he exhibits at galleries and museums often. During this show, we dived into Pieter's first experiences with street art and how his career path was built around the idea of bringing art back to the people. Pieter shared a lot of insights about how he managed to start collaborations with big brands and getting the opportunity to have a solo exhibition in Paris. You can find him on Instagram at Ceizer, which is written Ceizer, or online on ceizer.com. Enjoy this conversation. Hi, Pieter. How are you doing?
Yeah, great. And you?
Very good. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And I'm looking forward to talk to you about your creative path today. We met a couple of years ago in Paris.
Yes.
And I remember that something that really called my attention from your work is how, this mix between typography and shapes. And I want to know a little bit about this. I want to start there. Perhaps would be a good way to start by you describing the kind of work you do. For those listening, I'm going to add a link to Pieter's work on our show notes so that you get to know his work on his website. But for those watching, you get to see a little bit of what his studio is in the background of Pieter. You can see one of his pieces. So, Pieter, how would you describe your work for someone who doesn't know your work?
Yeah, for someone who doesn't know. Yeah, so basically, I would tell to anybody, it's about letters, words, colorful, and I think you could say poetic, empowering, and humoristic. And I always try to have a little bit of an edge on it. So I don't know, like that you leave some space for the person who watches it or who looks at it. That you have a piece of that you leave some space for the interpretation. Yeah.
And why do you think you have chosen letter forms as your main creative mean, in a way? Do you feel that, I read somewhere something that you said about words and the power of words, and how do you experience that in your work? How do you incorporate that in your work?
Yeah, so I believe in the power of words, so in the power of your thoughts. So I see the words as a tool to kind of activate the thoughts. So you read something, or in this case I draw something or I write something that somebody can read, which will activate a thought, and that can this energy they can use on their own. But that's for everybody who reads anything anywhere, and it's just a powerful medium, and I see that as the medium that I chose for my work, let's say. And I think that I do believe in the power of the thoughts and the words. So I think the direction you make for yourself, that's the direction you will follow, and words and energy can help you on your path, let's say.
Interesting. And I was wondering, because of the nature of your work and how you have achieved such a unique style, I was wondering, where did it all started? So I would like to start by the beginning. Like, when did you have your first contacts with art and with visual arts? How was your upbringing, and how that had an impact on the work you do today? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So to go back, it goes back to, I think, when I was about 10 years old, and then so I was always outside in Amsterdam, and there was a skate square, Museumplein, and that's where all the older guys, and skateboarding, it was in the 90s, so it was before internet and all that stuff, so it was really magical. You didn't really know, apart from what you saw, what it was. There was nothing almost about it on TV, and it was pretty a small subculture back then. And as a small kid, I really gravitated towards that. So as soon as I bought my first little skateboard, then I went there and I started, let's say, just hanging around there. It was maybe first it was like playing, and then after it became my lifestyle, let's say. So it was like, and there I met I saw even older guys doing graffiti on the back of the half pipes. And so this kind of the colorful lettering and the world of graffiti, that was my first visual interest and inspiration. And also, of course, in the skateboard culture, you have a lot of T-shirts with graphics, skateboards with graphic stickers. So and a lot of stuff came from USA, and so I think, and hip hop music and also punk music and all that stuff was really the motor in the beginning. But it was more as a kid, I was always around there, and I kind of wanted to be a part of it, and then you become a part of it because you're every day there, and then kind of you grow into that, and then later on you realize it was all kind of a part of your path, but it was just hanging out all the time, skateboarding, and later I'd start to do graffiti, or later at the same time start to do graffiti. But first I was mostly on skateboarding, and the graffiti came later a bit. I mean, I was doing it already, but when I was really going to outside to do it, I don't know, on a metro station or something, I was older, because when you're 10 years old, you cannot do that. Or you can, I guess, but I wasn't doing it.
And how was the process of starting to make graffiti, actually? Because, you mentioned that you were exposed to it and you were, around people who are doing graffiti, but what was...
Yeah, so you see other guys doing it, other graffiti artists, or let's say graffiti artists. I was like a kid, so I just saw graffiti artists do it. They make amazing stuff, but they're experienced and everything. So I just go home, and in my little sketchbook, I try to make letters, and then the next day I bring a little marker and I write maybe some silly stuff on the wall at school or stuff like that. And then little by little I practice, and I saw, okay, I can do this maybe. And then I bought some spray cans, and I went somewhere near a park and I just sprayed on a little house something, and from there on you get excited, you do one more, and then and before you know, you go to the police station and whatever.
So you actually got into it, like deep into it. So you were doing that often, and you became
every
better
day.
at that.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, all
right.
the time, kind of. Yeah.
And did you get to a point where you thought, or you were at the level of those doing that kind of professionally, if you can say that they were doing professionally, or that you reached a point where you said like, hey, I'm kind of really good at this, or
I don't know, like it's like in skateboarding also you have this kind of competition, but in a way it's like friendly, because you're with your friends and your peers, and you try to be kind of unique in the style that you all, or not everybody, it's like you have little waves of style and little direction, and within there you try to be a little bit better. Or this guy, my good friend, he can do super good hill flips, but my kickflip is maybe better, so when I battle a little bit, or it's like a kind of friendly competition, and you show it's about your skills and what you can show to the people. And with graffiti it's the same. So yeah, you just try to also improve yourself. So I did this with this 3D letters with 4 colors, but next time I'm gonna do even crazier 3D with 8 colors, and it's gonna be on not somewhere back, but it's gonna be somewhere really in the city or something. So a lot of stuff you try to improve. And yeah, so I guess, I mean, that is the professional way. I mean, like, I don't know, it's weird to call it professional, because that's the beauty of actually the graffiti art, is that there's no money involved, there's nothing involved except what you make, where you make, and how you make it, and you make that all yourself, these choices. So it's actually a very pure form of art, I think.
And do you feel that had an influence in what you do nowadays? Because I would say that there's a big difference, like at least visual difference, between what the kind of work you do today, and what I would, call street art or graffiti, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if you feel that there's a connection between that, and also what were the steps in between to take you from that to what you do right now?
Yeah, so first of all, I would not consider myself a graffiti artist, and I would also not consider myself a street artist. But I have a background in that when I was younger, and yeah, I don't know. So from there on, it evolved more into, let's say, after I went to art school. So then in art school, I studied typography and graphic design. So then everything was more like, with graffiti it's very one direction, like you do your name or maybe 2 names and that's it, and within that within that little box you move around. And in graphic design I learned, like, okay, you can use other words, you can use any word. So and on art school, yeah, from there on it became a more wider spectrum, for at least how I interpret it, how I see it for myself. Yeah.
So you had this first approach to, visual arts through this graffiti experience. Later on, you decided to go to art school, where you got this, formal education around typography and and design. What came after?
Yeah, well, so what it was like, on art school I learned really a lot about everything kind of, but it was a lot of theory. So you were practicing on paper, everything goes in a folder, you go home, you make another paper, and then I missed a little bit like that, to bring it out to the people, or to bring it, and that was what I did with graffiti, without maybe knowing certain skills or having certain skills about lettering. I knew already how to bring it to the people, and then in art school I improved my skills, but I didn't bring it to the people anymore because you're on school all the time, So that was one thing. I wanted to do something that really immediately, to show what I want to do or share my work. And from there on, I started to print T-shirts basically, and that was my that was an easy way, an easy medium to share like graphics and stuff. So I still do that nowadays, but now I do also a lot of other things. But the T-shirts was really the door, I think, for me.
Yeah, and I see, what you say makes a lot of sense with what you do right now, I would say. When I look at your profile, and specifically when you say that, what was missing for me from art school was, how do you bring this to the people? Which you had with graffiti. Graffiti is about bringing it to the people, essentially, right? So, and I feel that, as an artist nowadays, your profile is unique in that sense that you not only do work for commercial clients, but you also create your own exhibitions. And this is, in a way, a form of bringing your art back to the people, right? So I was wondering how, if we could speak a little bit about this world of art and galleries and exhibiting at museums, because this is not something that every commercial artist out there does. And I think it's very unique from you. And I think I'm really curious about knowing a little bit about this world. How do you get from doing work for clients, essentially, which you continue doing, to exhibit your work at galleries? Is this something that comes to you as you continue putting out work out there, or is this something you pursued yourself because you wanted to bring your art to the people?
I guess both ways. I guess it comes to me, but I also, that's the direction that I want to go. So it's just like, you have to keep working on where you want to go. So nobody can ask for a painting if I never make paintings, right? So I think it's really as simple as that. So I put my energy on where I want to go, and then suddenly somebody asks like, what is this, or do you have paintings, or do you want to be part of this exhibition or that, or, and so it comes like that, I guess. The thing is, with my work, I'm always working, no matter how to say that, like, I'm always working anyway. So if nobody asks me to do nothing, I'm already busy, let's say, because I have tons of ideas or projects that I want to make or do, and then on the side, then a client or an exhibition or something comes, and then I see what fits in or not. And but I think basically for me, just to keep working and making stuff, and that is very important, to keep your rhythm going, to keep the work flowing, and that's one of the most important things. And if you like something, then do more of it. So if you, I don't know, I guess it's the same. You want to make podcasts? No, do another podcast. And if you do 10, then people say, hey, can I be on your podcast? It's like, you have to start somewhere, and then when you got it, you have to keep going, and then it will bring you somewhere.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think it worked also.
Sounds very simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sounds very simple. Of course, like, it's simpler said than done, right? Because in between there's also, it's not about only like the work you do, but also like being open to certain opportunities, looking for those opportunities, kind of connecting with the people you know that bring you closer to those opportunities.
Yeah.
But I want to dig a little bit deeper into this topic of like the artwork, because I am really curious about it. I never made a specific exhibition. I think I was part of as an artist myself, like I was part of some exhibitions or group exhibitions, but I never digged into the world of galleries and selling art or art pieces, right?
Yeah.
And I would like to know a little bit about how it is to to create an exhibition or to get the opportunity to be at an exhibition or have a solo exhibition in a gallery? You were mentioning before we started that you're gonna in March 2022 you're gonna have a solo exhibition at a gallery in Paris where you live right now.
Yes. Yeah.
So how did that came into place? Like you had an idea and then you pitched that idea to the gallery and the gallery said yes and then you start working on that, or the gallery proposes you, hey, we have this spot or this this month available for you.
It depends on any project. Like in this case, I was just talking with the people from the space and say, okay, cool, and you want to do something? Yeah, it would be great, blah, 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 blah. So from there on, just something happened. And sometimes it's more specific. So let's say last year, right before COVID, there was the Urban Art Biennale in Volklingen in Germany. And then they are really looking for artists, and they have already a certain list of people, and then say, hey, they found my work somewhere and say, you want to participate on this? You can send only 1 or 2 works. Okay, cool. No, that's another example or something. So it really depends on the context.
And for instance, in the case of this this exhibition that you will be doing in Paris, was once you had that first contact of like, hey, I would like to do an exhibition here, or hey, I would like to do something in your gallery or whatever, like they confirm the space and then you start working in the pieces or the concept of the exhibition?
Yeah, so I'm like I said, I'm always working on series of work. So and then I don't necessarily always know exactly actually what the direction is. So I have, let's say, 5 or 10 paintings that I'm working on or that I'd already finished. And then suddenly I think, oh, I should do an exhibition. The name should be this. And if I should finish the series by doing this and this and this and this. So I make a few moves and then the way leads me somewhere. And then from there on, something might happen or not. And then I try to finish the story in the end. I don't know. It's just like, it is a mix of like initiative and see what comes on your way and see how to finish the story, let's say. And I guess it's like that.
Yeah, but it's more like a like a self-led work. Like you actually is your project and you carry it on, and there's no client actually telling you like, hey, or the gallery.
Sometimes the gallery asks like, okay, you do this and that kind of style and this kind of work and this, and we want more of this or we want more of that. Yeah, that happens also, and that can be also, to be honest, can be complicated because sometimes they ask you for stuff that how do you say, like, I make things because I feel that I have like some kind of urge in my system that I want to make stuff all the time, kind of. But I'm not every day or every period in the mood for the same kind of work. So and I don't care if it sells or not, to be honest, or whatever. It's just like if sometimes it could be that they say you have to do more of this. Or let's say they say you have to do more red, and I'm just like, no, everything I make lately is blue. And they say, yeah, but blue doesn't sell. I'm like, I don't care, but I'm gonna make 5 blue, more blue stuff, and then maybe red, but I don't know, you know. So that is not always easy because you sometimes you have to find a way also to get somewhere, but it depends on the partner. So if this gallery, let's say, really understands you as an artist or what your path and your way of working is, then it might flow easier. And sometimes it goes a little bit, then it's a little bit more like that you have to figure out how to do this way. Or in the end, there's only one way. That's my way. I have to do what I have to do, and that, and then I mean, I'm open for any idea and anything, but if I really feel it, then because it's all about what I do is all about expression, right? So it's just like if you feel like, let's say you make music and you are making like sad songs because you are in a sad period of your life, or you make happy songs because you are in a sad period in your life, and then they say make sad songs because everybody wants to hear that, but you're like no, I need to get this state of mind before, and I'm in a process right now, and when I finish this process, I might go on to another process. So I think everything is an organic process, right? That you cannot really necessarily immediately stop or begin, or that's at least how I see it. But everything can change, so it's not that I only want to do this and that forever. No, but maybe I'm working on these 3 works and I have to finish them, and then after I can think again about something else, and then.
That makes a lot of sense, especially when you are doing an exhibition where you are putting forward your statement as an artist. So you need to have some control on it, or a lot of control on what you're putting out there, right? Which is, I feel, is different than the work that an artist does for clients. So
no, it's not. It's really not. You have to see it like this: when you work for a client and you make something, so you work with this client one time, right? Maybe, let's say, or 2 times, and what you do result in a certain project. And it's the same with art. You make something and it results into something, and you do that with a partner, often with a gallery or somebody else. And when you move on to your next project, your name is on this project that you did previously, right? So how do you say, your career is your career. So everybody who mix in, who can say like, now we need red, now we need blue, it's your career. So if you're gonna follow them, you're gonna go a bit on their way or this way or that way, but what way do you want to go? So you have to set out your road, and if you now follow, let's say, the client too much to the left or to the right, that can impact your career. So do you want to do that or not? So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally. And I think that also makes a lot of sense with the kind of client work you do. I was going through your website before starting the conversation, and I noticed that you have a lot of collaborations, which I would say, in my experience, is different from client work. And I think there might be a reason why you call them collaborations. With exactly. Client work, you normally have a very clear briefing, and they come after something that you already did, perhaps something that is already in your portfolio, and the creative freedom tends to be limited, right?
Yeah.
And when you speak about collaborations, you speak more about like a dialogue, like I put this and the other person puts this, and we all have a say in the project, right?
Exactly. Now, it's good that you say that, because exactly that's the difference between the ways of working. So if you really work together, if you really collaborate, then you can do a lot of interesting things. And I think that both parties have to keep their identity and add something to the table. And if you can do that, then that's the most interesting way of working. And so in that, you have to make it a dynamic between, like you said, a dialogue between 2 parties. And I guess it's this place where you can be, or in which I maneuver, is like the place, the people, they ask often for stuff that I want to do, but do it with them. And that's the best way for me to work, because otherwise we're gonna get lost, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, looking at the things you have done, like specifically the collaborations, you have done work for, or collaborations with Uniqlo, Mizuno, Tourister, Colette, Tommy Hilfiger, among many others, right? So I wonder how how do you establish these guidelines for that collaboration? I'm thinking of those listening right now that are thinking like, I would love to collaborate with this brand, or to, to join forces with a certain other freelancer or brand or store. And how do you start that conversation? And how do you establish really clear guidelines to make that collaboration successful?
Yeah, that's
Perhaps you can think of one example with one of the collaborations where you thought like, hey, that was clear from the beginning what we were doing, and
really like with all of them, like normally it goes pretty naturally and pretty fluently. I don't know, like, it's first like it starts in the beginning, so it starts a few years back, let's say. So I started my company in 2004, so that's already like 17 years now. So I started selling t-shirts to skate shops and sneaker shops. So the thing was that I already had I made what I wanted to make. I proposed it to my client, the store, and say, you want this, yes or no, and then how much? And so from doing that, I got to know people, because I go to stores all the time. So I talk, and then maybe you even meet representatives of other brands and stuff. So, so you meet people from brands and you meet people from stores. And then the next step is like, hey, for this skate store in this town, hey, can we do a t-shirt or something? Or they initiate that, or me initiate that. And then you just talk and okay, cool. And another skate store wants to do a deck, skateboard deck. And from there on, basically, and then you meet another guy from another brand who makes I don't know what. And then I did a little collaboration with that. And then, so that was the beginning, just partnering with the people that I met. And because I was always meeting people selling t-shirts everywhere in the country, even in other countries, that's how it started. And then I got basically so busy with all the projects outside the t-shirts that the t-shirts became kind of the side project, let's say, in a way.
And this is the way you actually build your shop, your online shop. So for those listening, you can visit Pieter's online shop on geizer.com. I will add this to the show notes as well. But he has a big assortment of products, also very well elaborated. Some of them are like clothing and objects and, you name it. There's a lot of different things. And I've noticed that some of them are a result of collaborations with other brands, but some of them are self-produced or self-initiated, right?
Yeah, exactly. So,
and this is how you started producing the products yourself and selling them yourself? Yeah. Or it started first with the collaborations and
No, like I explained, like I was selling first, I was producing the t-shirts and all the stuff, and then going to show that to the stores and sell it here and there.
Yeah. And how you do it? How do you do it today? Do you actually continue producing your own products, or you prefer to team up with someone and create?
Yeah, both. So I still do my own productions of clothing, and next to that, I of course still also do other projects. Okay. But it's a mix. Like, like if I feel, then again, if I have an idea, I want to make a sweater with this little embroidery or something, or this kind of print, or then I want to do it. And if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. And so if I partner with somebody, this specific idea might not fit into that, but I still need some space for that other idea. So then it's just like the ideas that I have, I want to realize them, and that can be with people together or alone, let's say. So
yeah. And I want to go back to a little bit like your roots and what we were speaking about in the beginning. You mentioned that you were born in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and you're now living in Paris. So you moved there when? In which year?
I think 2013,
Mm-hmm.
more or less.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because, I wonder first, what were the motivations for you to move to Paris? If there were any artistic motivations in relation to relocating cities, and what were your challenges of coming to a different city, always within Europe, right? So you're moving within Europe where you have a certain container that facilitates people moving around. But I wonder what was the challenges you faced as you were moving cities as an artist?
Okay, so first of all, I never really kind of moved. I just kind of stayed. So it's just like there was never almost a moment that I wanted to move. I mean, let me explain. Like I was going here to sell T-shirts, then again, and then so I met some nice people at a store, and they were like at that time it's called Auguste, and they were like, yeah, cool, come hang out after the closing. We go to my place. We have a little party. Some people are coming. Oh. So we go there, super cool people, and I met a lot of other boys and girls there. Had a great night, and then so it was super exciting to meet new peoples, and then and to see the city which I didn't know so well at the time. And then I came back, and then so the guy was cool with me. So then after I thought I'm gonna go back pretty soon to meet again, So I came back 3 months later. And again and again and again. I visited maybe 10 times or something in 2-3 years, let's say 2 years. And at one point I was all the time curious to check like where can you do screen printing, where can you go to the bar, where can you go see stores, where is a party or a gallery opening, or so. I was just going around everywhere and meeting peoples or hang out at some tattoo store or this or that. So it was not really a plan or something. It was just more being curious and following everything that I was curious for. And then I met some artists. So I saw how they lived and what they're doing, and I was like, wow, they make big canvas and big paintings, and I saw, I met many different people, and that really enriched my vision also. And then I saw like, okay, I have this element, I have that element, I have this element. I can kind of really put that all together and make this kind of life happen. And so basically at one point I just was like, I am here already 2 weeks. I could stay at a friend then, and I was like, maybe I should just stay. I want to be here all the time. And then by accident, like I wanted somebody to help me with a phone call to call some house owner, and then on the way there, we met the owner of his apartment, and blah, 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 and before you knew, I had an apartment. So I was like, okay, really? Where is it? Like it was outside the city in the banlieue somewhere, and it was like, yeah, it's 3 blocks from here. We go there, and then it was pretty ghetto stuff, but I was like, I don't care what it is. I just say yes to anything, I just want to stay here, so I don't care. And from there it started, and then moved to another apartment and so forth, and found the atelier and this and that.
So there was kind of like in the city, you found some people who were having a certain lifestyle that you found attractive, and the first instinct was to say like, hey, I want to live like that, or I want to be like that.
Yeah. Like I already lived my life with what I was doing, but I saw like I met few artists who were doing only canvas works, let's say big paintings. So that I was like, I also need to make stuff like that, like big paintings. Like it's super amazing what they're doing here. And then, but I was also moving in the fashion world with the people in streetwear and stuff. So I saw then what kind of stuff they were doing, and so the spectrum just got a little bit wider, let's say, for what I wanted to do, let's say.
Yeah, and do you feel that, moving cities or moving to Paris changed or kind of had an impact on your success, whatever you call success, or success in your own terms? But do you feel that, if you have stayed back in Amsterdam, your hometown, would you have gone down the same path? Or, I think I normally when people, I'm not from Berlin. I live in Berlin now, but I was born in Argentina and I moved to Berlin and I started my business here and I started doing what I do now, and most people know me for here, right? So I feel that the city had an impact on my work, but in a different way of what the people may imagine. Sometimes people say like, well, I mean, the city opened a lot of opportunities for you, but actually, I work primarily for outside Berlin or for outside Germany, right? So perhaps the movements that the city brought to my life, or moving cities brought to my life, is what really had an impact on my life and my creative path. And I wonder what was that for you when you moved to Paris?
Yeah. So first of all, the question is like, would everything be the same if you made different choices, kind of? So no, of course not. So you are the person that you are a result of your choices, kind of, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's
yeah.
What you decided in the past, everything together with where you are is who you are today, let's say. And so of course it had an enormous impact, change on my life, but I was the change. I was the one who was like curious, following everything that I wanted to see. And the same for you. When you made the initiative to move to another country, that showed already that you had so much motivation to look for new ways, and that's why you became who you are. And if you would just be waiting on stuff to happen, and you would still be where you were, but then you was an whole other person, kind of. So it is. It comes with each other, let's say.
Yeah, it's interesting because what you're saying a little bit is that you are already striving for change when you are changing something.
Yeah, so something is gonna happen. Like if you wanna go to I don't know, to New York or even to the gym or whatever you wanna do, something is gonna change soon. Then if you really follow this path, and yeah.
And I wonder what are the things that you love about Paris that you think that continue fitting your creative path?
Oh, yeah. What I love is really that it is big. So it's a big city and there's enormous diversity. So it's really first of all, like from the very rich to the very poor, from the super nice neighborhoods to the bad neighborhoods to I don't know, name anything, is from all the highs and lows are pretty different. There's a big difference everywhere. So that is very already dynamic. You can be in the banlieue on a barbecue, and in the night you are on the fashion cocktail party with like, I don't know who, So you can already hop in between different lives in one day. And then because it's so big, you are also pretty anonymous, so you can really be who you are without, at least that's how I feel. I feel pretty anonymous, so I can really be whoever I want to be and do whatever I want to do, because I disappear in the mass kind of already, It's like, I guess it would be the same maybe in any big city, but... And in Amsterdam, I felt it a little bit less. So you walk around the corner, and I meet my old teacher or something. I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of this. Then I go around the other corner, and I meet, I don't know, my nephew or something. And it's like, oh, you have to do this or that. I was like, this brings me already back to who I was kind of, maybe not who I am not anymore, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting because going back to what we were thinking, we were speaking about before. This idea of like moving cities is already it already shows an intention for change, and I think that also the fact that it's a big city sort of turns you into someone a little bit anonymous. Whereas
Yeah.
in Amsterdam, you are who you are. People know you for who you are, and it's perhaps a little bit harder to leave that container of who you are.
Yeah.
You cannot. It's hard. It's harder to change.
Yeah, but it's only. I think it's in between your ears, of course. But the environment can help you to activate something
Yeah.
in between your ears. Let's say so. You can do everything anywhere, I guess. But
Yeah.
if you feel better in the nature, maybe you should live in the nature. If you feel better in this city or in that city, then maybe you should do it. So.
Yeah.
And so apart from that, so in Paris, of course, you have a lot of art, a lot of museums, and a lot of so many things. I mean, like I like already the architecture, the lifestyle. Everybody on the terrace having a coffee or going to the cafe, and I think also there's a lot of attention for art and design, and so a lot of appreciation. I feel, and the French people are more poetic about that kind of thing. So they take their time. They take their time to live. So they enjoy things, they look at things, and they let it work on them. And in Holland, I think it's more pragmatic. So it's just like, oh, you don't have something bigger with more colors or something. It's just like, it's very pragmatic. And in France, they really look more deeper in maybe the energy or the meaning, but I don't know. That's what I think. But for everybody, maybe another opinion. Let's say.
And we've been going through like different stages of your path as a creative, right? So we were speaking a little bit about your upbringing, you moving to Paris, your experience at, creating exhibitions and starting collaborations. And I wonder, when you look back at your path as a creative, you have been working as an artist for over 15 years, if I'm not wrong. You said that you started your studio 17 years ago, right?
Yeah,
so
17 years, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think, if you can spot them, like in this path of 17 years, if you can spot 2 or 3 things that you feel that really had an impact on getting really good at what you do, or getting there where you are right now, which is where you want to be as an artist, what would you say were those things?
So I think being curious, so that's good to be curious. So your work ethic, so that like you have to keep working, I think that curiosity and work ethic, that's very important. So you have to keep a rhythm, you have to be productive, you have to keep your eyes open for everything you might like or what you want to see, but in everything in your life, I guess. So, and then the third one, I would say you kind of that you collaborate, so that you interact with people, right? So I guess it's that. So you stay curious, you keep working, and you mix with people, and you try to collaborate with people. Okay, you have a store. Okay, let's make a T-shirt. Oh, you have that. Then and just stay curious for all that. And all you do that, and while you do all that, you have to have fun, right? So you have to enjoy your time and make a good time for yourself. So. Yeah, but now that's already number 4. So,
but very, very important as well.
Yeah, that's super important, because you want to live. At least how I see it is like, I want to live how I live already. Let's say, or how I want to live, and so if you do all your work and everything, and then you have that, but you're not having fun, then what's the value of all of that? So. on your road that you're on, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that, and I would love to wrap up this episode of the podcast with that idea. When I think of all the things that we discussed during the episode, one that stuck in my head is this idea of bringing it to the people, and I think that you and your work are a really good example of that. I see that you, because you have this work ethic, and you keep being curious and creating more work. You sort of bring the work out there for the people. You create these collaborations. You start these conversations, and I think this creates like a perfect circle that keeps your work moving forward. And I really appreciate all that you shared today. I think for those listening, there's a lot of takeaways from this conversation. So, Pieter, lastly, where can people find you?
Where can people find me? So on my website, ceizer.com.
So that is CEIZER.
Yeah.
.com, right?
Yes. So on Instagram, also Ceizer. And on Facebook, Studio Ceizer.
Amazing. I'm going to add all of this to the show notes so that you can find Pieter's work. And thank you again, Pieter, for tuning in today. Thank you, everyone, for listening there, and see you on the next episode.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Pieter. So this is it. I hope you loved this episode. You can find me, the host of the show, on social networks at Martina Flor on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you have a question or comments, go to martinaflor.com/podcast, where you can see previous episodes, find show notes, and send voice memos with your comments and questions. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube. Just go to martinaflor.com/YouTube to find them. You can, of course, listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform. If you loved this episode, subscribe to this podcast. And if you leave us a review, it will help others find us. Thank you all for listening, and see you in the next episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. Bye-bye.